It appears that President Trump is now looking to pass another round of corporate tax cuts. Now, this has been reported by the Washington Post that Trump is now, quote, agitating to announce a new tax cut proposal heading into the 2020 election, as if, of course, we haven't given enough to the wealthy and corporations already. So now, according to the Post, these tax cut discussions are being held by National Economic Council Director Larry Kudlow, who's never met a tax cut he didn't like. Oh, you know what? Just kidding. He actually doesn't like middle class tax cuts. Only for the rich, like a lot of these conservatives. All right. Now, Kudlow, like I said, giant cheerleader for giving tax cuts to the rich. And so he loves this, right? So now, according to the Post, the early stage discussion now reflect Trump's desire to refocus the economic narrative amid some signs of a slowing economy. So now he sees the economy slowing down, and by the way, the Fed just cut interest rates again, right? Because we have a slowing economy, and he's going, what do we do for the economy? It's starting to slow down. Oh, I know, more tax cuts for me and corporations. I got it. I got it. This time it'll work. I mean, yes, the last time we cut taxes for the wealthy, it didn't really have any long-term effect. It didn't supercharge the economy like they said they were going to do. But don't worry, this one will work. I mean, sure, the one before didn't work, and then the one before didn't work, and the ones that Ronald Reagan passed, they didn't work either. But don't worry, this time, this will be the time that it works. Cross your fingers. Come on. No, trickle down economics, you guys know it's a colossal failure, but they continue pushing the lie that it's going to help the economy, and it's going to help regular workers. And why? Well, it's because, look, this has never been about helping the working class, these tax cuts. No, it's all about funneling money to the rich. These corporations, they're sitting on trillions of dollars. They've done massive stock buybacks since getting the Trump tax cuts. The executive compensation is through the roof, while, of course, government revenue has been starved. We're running trillion-dollar deficits now, which, by the way, there's a reason for that, right? And there's a reason that I bring this up. Now, these deficits, right? When a Democrat gets into office, and they eventually will, right? If it doesn't happen in 2020, which I think is our last shot to have a true progressive like Bernie Sanders go in and actually make the necessary transformation of our economy as well as our society, make it into a more equitable, just, and sustainable economy. So that's our kind of our last chance, at least on that one, especially considering how climate change is basically it's the sort of Damocles that's hanging around our hanging right over our head, and it's getting closer and closer and closer. So we're running out of time on that, and that's why I say, of course, because you might come back and say, well, what about Ocasio-Cortez 2035, right? Which, by the way, would be a great idea. I'd love it. But right now, we're kind of running out of time. But anyway, back to the deficits, right? So again, we've got trillion-dollar deficits. Now, the Republicans, they're doing this. They're running up these deficits with their giant tax cuts and their giant military programs, right? And so that, of course, it's going to run up deficits. I mean, when you literally cut revenue by saying rich people don't have to pay taxes or as much taxes anymore, and some of these corporations like Amazon, for example, receive billions of dollars in revenue and profit, and yet don't pay any taxes. That's complete and utter insanity. But when they don't pay taxes, and when a large majority of the rest of the American people who don't have all the money, they end up paying and still don't pay as much in taxes because they don't have the money. Well, what's going to happen? Naturally, you're going to have giant deficits. So now Republicans do this, and they know this, right? And this is all part of the plan. Run up the giant deficits, Democrat gets into power, and then they scream and howl bloody murder. Oh my God. How can you do Medicare for all? How can you do free college? You can't do that. Look at the deficit. It's gigantic. The country's going to fall apart if we don't immediately surface the deficit. And by the way, we do that by cutting Medicare and Social Security, of course. And by the way, if a centrist gets into power, if we don't, if Donald Trump wins 2020, or if we get like a President Buttigieg, oh, he's going to cut Medicare and Social Security. It's almost a guarantee because he'll bow to Republican pressure, to make some sort of bargain. And by the way, Obama nearly did a grand bargain with the Republicans during debt ceiling negotiations, where he put Medicare and Medicaid, Medicare and Social Security on the table to get massive cuts. So don't think it wouldn't happen with the centrists. All right. So now there's some political ramifications, of course, and also there's the fact that it's serving the donors. So now there's another factor at play, right, in Trump's decision to publicly announce that he's pushing for more tax cuts. And that's the fact that it could be a distraction from the impeachment investigation. Now, Representative Lloyd Doggett, who is a member of the Ways and Means Committee, told the Washington Post that the push for new round of tax cuts is a way to divert attention from the impeachment process. He said, I expect this would just be another distraction from the fact that he's about to be impeached. Okay, it's fair enough, right? Now, it's not just that, but of course, Donald Trump. We know Donald Trump's trying to buy out the Senate, right? Senate Republicans, by saying we're going to give more money to your campaigns, right? So that's one way that he's trying to continue to ensure the loyalty of the Senate. The other way is to promise giant tax cuts for the donor class. Now, the donors own their Senate Republicans, own basically the Republican Party, lock, stock, and barrel, right? So he says, don't worry, rich people, don't worry, corporations, don't worry, the donors. More importantly, I'm going to give you another tax cut. But that's not going to happen if I get impeached. That's not going to happen if I don't win in 2020. So this is what you're going to get if you allow me to get back in office and you give Republicans control back at the House and the Senate. So stick with me. I'm going to treat you good. You're going to get all this return on investment. So this is signaling the donors, I'm on your side, but if you help me by making sure that your lapdogs in the Senate Republicans, hold the impeachment wall. That's what that is. Okay. So now, there's been a lot of pushback, of course, on this. Progressives, Fight for 15 said Trump gave away over $1 trillion in tax cuts to corporations and billionaires, and economic growth slowed to a putter, which is true. But they're hoping to rob as much as they can from the state coffers while they have the chance. It was a scam. This is Chris Van Hollen. No, he's a Democrat. He said it was a scam the first time around. Why would Trump think American workers would want another round of tax cuts for billionaires? Well, again, I just told you, this is not about the workers. It's not about the working class. Donald Trump's never been a champion of the working class. Never been a fighter. No, he's been a fighter for his own interests. And of course, he would save millions of dollars in taxes under a new tax plan, as he has already saved all that money under the plan that was passed in 2017, right? And again, he's listening. Who he's listening to is the donors, right? And he wants to shove more and more money into their pockets as well as his own. His business has benefited greatly from that first round of tax cuts, and so that's what he's looking out for, plain and simple. So it appears that Republicans, again, are trying to continue to give more and more to the rich, and they're never going to stop until the rich have everything. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a patreon.com/TYTNation set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.